So let's start understanding the key elements of Companies Amendment Bill 2020, friends. So, with just 7 years of this Companies Act 2013, we have had several amendments during the years 2015, 17, and as recently as Companies Amendment Act 2019. And where in Companies Amendment Act 2019 we had a lot of declogging of powers of NCLT, where the powers were transferred from NCLT to the adjudicating authorities, which is ROC, RD, and likewise in Companies Amendment Bill 2020 also there are two primary objectives, friends. So before we get into this slide, let us understand what are the twin objectives with which this amendment bill was formed. So the twin objectives are decriminalization of offences. If you ask me whether decriminalization of all offences will come, then non-compliant companies will be treated at par with compliant companies, then the answer is strictly no. While you read the statement of objects and reasons of this Companies Amendment Bill, which was placed by our Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, which was passed in Lok Sabha, placed in Lok Sabha, on 17th March 2020. And here it is clearly stated that the decriminalization of offences which are minor, procedural and technical lapses. And second primary objective with which this bill was placed for approval is ease of living to all the corporates which are compliant. So ease of compliance and ease of doing business. We have been listening to this particular concept and objective for a while now. So there are a lot of welcome changes in this Companies Amendment Bill, more particularly because of decriminalization of lot of offences, where recategorization of offences are happening. So there are a lot of offences which are compoundable offences, which are now getting into the in-house adjudication mechanism. We call it shortly IAM, friends. So what do you mean by IAM? Here, the compoundable offence need not be submitted for application before NCLT, and by MCA 21, by virtue of everything being tagged into the system, ROC will have the authority to adjudicate these penalties. So it's a very welcome change. And another introduction is producer companies. We all are aware that producer company is a special category of company which was formed in Part 9A Companies Act 1956. So most of those provisions are now reinstated in Companies Amendment Bill 2020 by Chapter 21. And above all this, there are a lot of structural changes in line with the ease of doing business. So we will get into the detailed presentation. Now friends, please stop me as and when you have any doubt or clarification on this subject. A sincere thanks to Mr. Sundar for this detailed presentation. Much appreciated, Sundar. In a short span, you have compared all the provisions, the existing provisions vis-a-vis the proposed amendments, which will be a handy provision for comparison for all our professionals. These are various legends used in today's presentation, friends. More importantly, bill is Companies Amendment Bill 2020. So the history of this amendment bill is, we all discussed in the initial phase that this was placed in Lok Sabha on 17th March. And how was this formed? There was a committee, CLC, Company Law Committee, which was headed by our MCA Secretary, Mr. Injeti Srinivas, and various recommendations were received by this committee. The forum comprised of all the industry representatives, the ministry members, the professional institutes, ICAI, ICSI, ICMAI, along with all the people of legal expertise. So these committee members formed this particular CLC with these two twin objectives which we discussed at the beginning, and they placed their report during November 2019, and within 3 months this was placed after the cabinet approved this particular bill. So this is the history before we get into the nuances of this particular bill, friends. So this is the outline of today's presentation. We will understand the objects and reasons of this particular bill, because for any act, we need to understand the reason why this act has evolved. Likewise, for any bill or any amendment, we need to understand why this amendment is proposed. And hence, salient features of the bill with important bullets covering all the important features of the amendment made. Decriminalization of offences. Again, please underline the fact that it is procedural and technical lapses only. And again, the ministry has taken cognizance of the fact that those which are like involving fraud or which are going to affect the public interest will not be construed for this purpose. So the two criterion for this will be lack of fraud and also it should not be prejudicial to public interest. So considering these twin criterion, the decriminalization of offence is provided for. Provisions on listed company. Here there is a blessing and boon given to companies which are listed with debt securities, friends. We will see the amendment made to section 2 subsection 52 of the Companies Act. Timeline for rights issue. Again, a boon to public companies where they have this particular mode of raising equity, where rights issue is often used more, where the timeline of 15 to 30-day period, they are going to give that specific exemption and relaxation, including public companies, because we are already aware that private companies are given this exemption and privilege under section 62. Exemption under section 117. This is keeping in mind specific categories of companies like NBFCs, HFCs. So where the filing is required to make loans, give guarantees or provide securities, the banking companies, which is in the ordinary course of business. So now they have given this exemption to NBFCs and HFCs also. Periodic financial results. So all the companies, unlisted companies, they take shelter by filing only financial results on an annual basis. So to curb this practice, and also what if companies which are like majority stakeholders, external stakeholders are also there and they are acting under the shield of lot of transactions happening not on an arm's length basis. So they let them also provide the periodic financial results to the supervising authority so that it will get disseminated to public in the interest of investors, of course, friends. CSR. We have been seeing a lot of changes in the recent past in CSR. So here again there is a welcome move, because CSR committee is required to be formed only in those cases where the CSR spend is exceeding 50 lakhs, and also we will see the exemption available in the decriminalization of offence, lesser penalties for same companies. Again, this is a welcoming change because there is an extension given to start which is getting introduced now. It's a welcome move. So we are going to discuss the salient features of the bill, and before which, what is the objective of Companies Act? We all know, for stakeholders' interest, and also lot of provisions, stringent norms imposed for AMP, directors, auditors, corporate governance, and investor protection. This is why we have Companies Act 2013, which was enacted on 29th August. And we discussed in the beginning of this presentation that in order to live into law-abiding policy was constituted decriminalize some provisions of the Act. We already have noticed 16 such provisions were provided during this Companies Amendment Act 2008. This one being an attempt, which is a welcome move, friends. So based on the recommendation of CLE and review by the government and various provisions of the Act. And again, just in the beginning, that the objectives being decriminalization and provide ease of living to law-abiding citizens. Salient features, a big list, friends, but let's try to understand this because this is going to be covered in all the detailed slides in future. So let's try to understand this. So decriminalization of certain offences. This empowers central government to exclude in consultation with certain class of companies from definition of listed company. So we all discussed that for as a blessing for listing of debt security, they are going to amend the definition of section 2 subsection 52. Certain class of companies we have to wait and watch. To clarify the jurisdiction of trial court on the basis of place of commission of offence under 452. 452 deals with wrongful withholding of property of a company by its officers or employees. Producer company, there is a new chapter which is being introduced. So what is producer company, friends? So if you have not read in Companies Act, just to give you a brief of this producer company, it is manufacturing and selling the agricultural produce and sale of such produce which are from cottage industries. Here there is a separate chapter, and section 378A of the Act clearly defines that those objects which are enshrined in 378B will be considered as producer company. So all the detailed provisions as provided in Companies Act are being lifted here, of course with certain amendments made. And additional benches for NCLAT. We all are aware that there is only one bench in the LAT bench now. Now they are planning to set additional benches to make provision for allowing payment of adequate remuneration to NED in case of inadequate of profits. By aligning the same with the provision for remuneration to executive directors, accordingly, we have to see if section 197 is also going to be amended in this particular scenario. To relax provisions relating to charging of higher additional fees for default of 2 or more occasions, submitting or filing any document or information relating to section 403. More again for decriminalization of offence. To extend applicability, here is where reduction of penalty is extended to producer and startup companies over and above your small companies and OPCs, which is already in place. So 446B we will be discussing in detail in the subsequent slides, friends. There are a few more salient features which we will discuss before we get into the details. Exempt any class of person from complying with the requirement of section 89, which is with regard to your beneficial interest in shares. However, please note, friends, there are certain conditions attached to it as stipulated in the clause. To exempt any class of foreign company or companies incorporated outside India from chapter 22 relating to companies incorporated outside India, we have to wait and watch which are this class of foreign companies. To reduce the timeline for rights issue, exemption provided to NBFCs, HFCs, and which are registered under RBI Act 1934 for NBFCs and HFCs under HFC Act 1987. To provide the companies which have CSR spending obligation up to 50 lakh specific waiver that they are not required to form the CSR committee. Hence, the CSR spend can be approved by the board directly. And there is a set of provision available which is very interesting, friends. What they are saying is for certain eligible companies, if there is an excess of CSR spending, they are providing this set of benefit available for subsequent financial years and provide a window in which penalties shall not be levied for delay in filing returns and financial statements, like your CFSS LLP settlement scheme, to provide for specified class of unlisted companies to prepare and file their periodic financial results, which we discussed, to allow direct listing of securities by Indian companies in permissible foreign jurisdiction, more to tap overseas capital for all such companies. So all these are welcome changes in the light of COVID-19, friends. Decriminalization of offences. I'm not going to read each and every section, friends, but for your benefit, the existing provision vis-a-vis the proposed amendment, while the respective clauses in the bill are provided for. So we will just understand where there are significant differences. Otherwise, I'll be verbatim quoting the provision which I don't want to. So please stop me if you have any questions then and there. Section 8, charitable objects. If you see 23 such compoundable offences where they have recategorized such offences and they are moved to IAM, the in-house adjudication mechanism. And many such offences, there is a movement from fine to penalty. So if you notice here, section 8 and 16, you notice that there is removal of In 8, there is removal of imprisonment. And in 16, which is very interesting to read and understand, friends, where there is rectification of name of company, which we all are aware that you're using the registered trademark of some proprietor or an existing name. Then there is a timeline within which you have to rectify the name upon receipt of notice. But here there is also a penalty, the fine for the company and also officer at default under the existing provisions. But you have to appreciate that in the new proposed bill, CG shall new name. So he is given the wide discretionary power to allot a new name. Then he comes to notice the fact that there is this existing name which is already used by you, and registrar shall enter the new name in this particular register and shall issue fresh certificate of incorporation consequent upon change of name. But you don't, what if you don't like the name? Yes, you are given the option to change the name in accordance with the provisions of section 13. So it is a welcome move, friends, because your escape from paying the fine both from the company's end and also from officer in default's end. Section 26, matters to be stated in prospectus. Again, imprisonment is removed and the fine with both. Of course, since imprisonment is removed, now the quantum is retained, which is 50,000 3 lakhs. 40, where the securities are to be dealt with in stock exchange, the same provision, that is imprisonment is removed. 48, variation of shareholders' right. It is interesting to note that the proposed amendment has omitted this particular offence. Transfer, likewise, rectification of register of members also, this particular offence has been lifted. So you must be understanding that if there is going to be minor procedure and reason as provided the bill is taken cognizance of. Transfer and transfer of security. So company 25,000 to 5 lakhs. Now the penalty is reduced to 50,000. So here I would like to stop for you to understand the conceptual difference between fine and the penalty. So you must be noticing in most of these sections, there is the movement from fine to penalty. So what is the difference between fine and penalty? So fine is something where there is an application made for a compoundable offence to NCLT, either suo motu by the company or upon receipt of notice from ROC. But when it comes to penalty, ROC can invoke this provision. Certain provisions you have violated and hence it will be construed as non-compliance and hence you may have to pay a penalty. So friends, please appreciate the difference. Fine will involve civil and criminal offence, and whereas penalty is for civil wrong, which is attributable to civil wrong. Okay. Hence, this certainly attributes to your decriminalization of offence. Section 64, vote to be given to registrar for change in share capital. Again, you might be noticing that 1,000 for every continuing day of default of 5 lakhs. Here, there is significant reduction of 500 for every continuing day, but not exceeding 5 lakhs. And for every officer, likewise, it is 500 for every continuing day up to 1 lakh. So there is a reduction from 5 to 1 lakh in the case of officer at default. So where I would like to invite the attention of all the professionals that in most of the cases, if you see, just like how imprisonment is removed, just like how there is a one from fine to penalty, for officer in default, there is a significant reduction in the penalty amount which is being imposed. So, order by tribunal on reduction of share capital, this provision is omitted. Power of company to purchase its own securities for buyback. Every officer in default shall be punishable with fine up to from 1 to 3 lakhs. Debenture, the provision is omitted. Punishment for contravention under section 86, where again there is a shift from fine to penalty with a reduction from 10 lakhs to 5 lakhs and also imprisonment is removed. 88, register of members, again it is more a procedural lapse and hence there is a significant reduction and movement from fine to penalty, friends. 89, declaration in respect of beneficial interest, where you fail to make such declaration under 89. So here again, it is moved from fine to penalty and For continuing offense, there is a significant reduction from 1000 to 200. Likewise, for your failure to filing MGT6, which is your beneficial position, again there is this particular decriminalization of offense. And section 90, for register of significant beneficial owners in a company, imprisonment is removed and fine shift from fine to penalty. Likewise, for filing Ben 3, Ben 2, all those as stipulated under section 90, this company and every officer who is in default shall be punishable with fine is moved to penalty. And for continuing default, it is 500 for company and 200 subject to a maximum cap of 1 lakh to officer in default. Annual return, again the penalty is 100 for every day up to a maximum of 5 lakhs. Earlier it is 2 lakhs now, and for officer in default it is up to a maximum of 50,000. Proxies, again there is a shift. 117 resolutions. Penalty, there is a reduction from 500 to 100 for every day, both for company and OID, officer in default. For unpaid dividend account, again the fine, there is a reduction from 5 to 25 lakhs to 1 lakh and a continuing offense which is imposed. And fine to penalty is again a notable change. Books of accounts to be kept by company for MD, WTD who is in charge of finance, full-time director, CFO, who are in charge of maintaining such books of accounts. Imprisonment is removed and fine 50,000 to 5 lakhs is retained. Both report, again fine is moved to penalty and imprisonment is removed. CSR, here there is a significant change where they say penalty is for company twice the amount which is required to be transferred to the fund. So fund is what was notified, it is yet to be notified, but which was brought in your Companies Amendment Act 2019 or the unspent CSR account, as the case may be, or subject to a maximum of 1 crore, whichever is less, they say. Officer in default will be 1/10 of the amount which is required to be transferred to this fund or UCSA, unspent corporate social responsibility account, or 2 lakhs, whichever is lower. And 137 for non-filing of your financial statements, again there is a reduction in the penalty which is imposed. 140 removal of auditor, the penalty is not exceeding 5 lakhs, from 5 lakhs to 2 lakhs. And for all the auditors who are required to do the necessary powers under 143, the movement is from fine to penalty. Likewise, 147, 165 for maximum number of directorships. These are the various provisions. I'm not going to deal with it in detail, friends, because these are statistics which I'm sure you all can read these slides and understand it better to compare it with what are the existing provisions. So wherever it is notable change, I will certainly stop. And certain provisions like this, you might notice that they are omitted. Why, friends? Because company liquidator. Now the provisions are moved to IBC code to after this 2016, because all these provisions effective 15th November 2016 were omitted from Companies Act, and effective 1st April 2017 you have it in IBC, and hence why there should be 2 different powers to adjudicate and impose penalty, and hence these provisions are omitted from Companies Act. 2 subsection 52, we all discussed in the beginning that for the companies which have their listing of debt securities not to be construed as listed companies, but underlying principle in this is, friends, in consultation with SEBI only, these class of companies will be not categorized as listed companies. So you have to note that in consultation with SEBI is an important point to be noted here, and also it is a welcome change. Listing securities on stock exchange in permissible foreign jurisdiction. Certain class of public companies to list certain securities in foreign jurisdiction. Again, we discussed that this is a welcome change because you can tap overseas market for more because of all these COVID and other tough situations. And another important provision is central government may by notification exempt such class of companies from any of the provisions under chapter 3, which is your prospectus, private placement, allotment of securities, chapter 4, share capital and debenture, 89, 90 regarding your beneficial interest, and 127 with regard to your failure to pay your dividend, what if you are violating the provisions? So from these provisions, you could be well exempted, but certain class of companies, we have to wait and watch what the central government is by way of notification going to issue. Timeline for rights issue. It's a welcome change, because when public companies for fundraising, they can expedite by way of opting for rights issue, because such lesser number of days as may be prescribed is inserted in this clause. Exemption under 89. So, central government may, by notification, exempt any class or classes of persons from complying with the provisions of section 89. Again, a welcome move, if it is considered necessary to grant exemption in the public interest. Point to be noted. So, in the public interest only and subject to such conditions as may be specified in the notification only, you will be granted this blessing of 89. Resolutions under 117. Previously, you had it for banking companies in the ordinary course of business, because make loan, give guarantee, provide security is part and parcel of your business. So the same should also be extended to NBFCs and HFCs. It's a welcome move, no doubt. Periodical financial results 129A is being inserted, friends. Very important for people who are monitoring the compliance of unlisted public companies, friends. So your going to be treated in par with listed companies, because listed companies already have periodic financial results in line with SEBI LODR, just your listing obligation and disclosure requirement regulation. Now, unlisted companies also, they should not be taking shelter by filing annual financial results only, but we have to wait and watch which are those class of companies as may be prescribed. So, the financial results with audited audit report or limited review report as may be specified, and they shall file such copy within 30 days with registrar of companies. So we discussed about 135, two key provisions. One, when your CSR spend is going to be less than 50 lakhs, no need to form your CSR committee, and set off of excess amount of your CSR spending against your succeeding financial years. We have to see which are those companies which are going to be prescribed. Section 149, again this is a welcome move, friends, because 149, if you note, independent directors are given, they spend most of the time providing valuable additions to the company, and without having any material or pecuniary interest in the company by virtue of the qualifications as enshrined in 149 subsection 6. Here, they provide the benefit of only sitting fees and reimbursement of all the expenditure which they incur in the course of meetings, and of course for sharing the commission which is by way of profits. But what if there is no profit or inadequate profit? Here there is an amendment proposed where independent directors will also participate in the remuneration on par with the executive directors, even if the company has no profits or inadequate profits, in accordance with the provisions of Schedule 5. Likewise, for NEDs also, non-executive directors also, similar provision to pay remuneration in accordance with Schedule 5 of the Act. However, please notice, friends, in this particular amendment bill proposed, they have not given any amendment to 197. We have to wait and watch. 446B, again a welcome change, both for ease of doing business and to recognize lot of startup companies and MSMEs. So, if penalty is payable for non-compliance of any of the provisions of this Act by one-person company, small company, startup company or producer company, or by an officer in default or any other person of such company, then he shall be required to pay not more than one half of the penalty, subject to a maximum of 2 lakhs in case of company and 1 lakh in case of OID, officer in default, or any other person. So, you all are aware about one-person company. We have discussed in our earlier webinars. Small company, again Companies Amendment Act 2019, and wide the notification on 7th May 2018, they clearly said that companies with paid up capital of 50 lakhs or such a higher amount, not as may be prescribed, not exceeding 10 crores, or turnover of 2 crores, not exceeding such a higher amount of 100 crores. This is what a small company, which was amended under section 2 subsection 85, and startup company producer company we all discussed under 378A of the Act, read with the objects under 378B. This is going to be introduced in chapter 21 of this particular Companies Act. And startup company is the company which is after incorporation not less than 10 years have elapsed, and it could be a company which is registered under the Act or a partnership firm registered under Section 59 of Partnership Act or LLP registered under LLP Act 2008. And very importantly, friends, please note that the turnover during any of these years should not have exceeded 100 crores. And also, such company should not have been formed by way of split up or reconstruction of any of these companies. And these two criterions are very important, that after incorporation, the company should not have elapsed the number of years to be 10, and also the turnover should not have exceeded 100 crores in any of these 10 years. If these two criterions are met, and also very importantly, the company should have been involved in the improvement, innovation of any product, process or service, or they should be in sustainable development of the product, process or service which leads to employment generation or wealth creation. So these are the underlying criterions to be fulfilled as a startup company. So this startup company is also now eligible for all the benefits as provided under section 446B, which is more in relation to all the offences as provided in the Act. So thank you very much, friends. Next Wednesday webinar, we will discuss on another key domestic corporate law. Thank you so much.